What up, homie? Pensando for going fucking. Yo, what up, homie? Still up on here or what time we got? Oh, yeah. What up? My bad. I just was hitting the bong. Had to get right first here. What up, home, man? I'm gonna try to get you up on here, Smoke. I just gotta figure out how to drop this. What up? All right, Smokey. I'm about to jump you up on here. Damn, I'm having some technical difficulties on me. Hold up. All right, homie, I'm about to link you up. Answers. No, I'm not very good at this shit, but I got this shit. Copy. Alright. The fuck? Oh, you know what? You gotta press like control fucking C1 or some shit. Hey, I'm gonna be right on. Hold on, homie. People are just jumping on anyway. I gotta figure out which buttons I gotta press. All right. Now I know what buttons to press. All right, homie. I'm online. What buttons do I press? All right, homie. Here we go. I ain't no fucking Inspector Gadget, you know. I don't be doing it too much, but orale. There we go. Fucking Machete. What's up, Machete? Giving me shit already, you fucker? Ha ha ha.
What's cracking? You hear me? Am I connected?
Chuvale, homie.
What's
I got
going
you on
on?
here as far as we can see you, but I can't see your
Oh, there you go.
can't hear you. Hold up, let me see what I gotta do here.
You gotta unmute the mic. I think it's muted.
All right, we got you.
All right. What's cracking?
Chuvale, homie. Fuck, you know me, I'm over here. I'm from the old school. I don't even know how to fucking log into my shit. Ha.
That's that old school shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know what's up.
Hell
How
yeah.
you doing today, homie?
I'm good. I'm good, bro. I'm good.
All right, you been out there fucking doing any fighting today or what?
Nah, bro. I had some training. Had to do some CPR, first aid, AED shit. You know what I mean?
Orale.
So
So I had a couple different subjects we could talk about. I wrote them down like 3 or 4 different subjects. We'll do just a quick half hour, or something.
yeah,
Chop it
yeah.
up. So I had, the alien shit. We're talking about UFOs, extraterrestrials. Talk about what you think about them, we'll just have a little discussion on it. Also, too, the fentanyl epidemic. You
All
willing to
right.
talk about that?
Yep.
And then we got climate change because I know that's going to be affecting your work, as well as
Yep.
all over the world.
Yep. We can do that. We can do that right now.
All right. So we'll start on the alien shit, man. What do you think about them? What's your take on
Okay. So,
UFOs? Do you think they're out there? They're
oh yeah.
here? What's
Oh
your
yeah.
deal?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely. I've seen things. I've witnessed things. I mean, you got to go back into history, and I mean, look at the hieroglyphics the Egyptians had. They had things on there that you could take as they were, they were dealing with something that wasn't from this world, or was it? You know what I mean? You know,
Oh
and you,
yeah, yeah, yeah. The ancient aliens.
yeah, you got to look at things how advanced those civilizations were compared to us, as far as the technologies of the times, the way they built things, and how things were done. For that time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you hear about that city they found that was made of pillars out by like where Micronesia would be in the ocean. They found that city made of nothing but stones that are about 10. They're about 10
Oh, like the
tons a piece, and they couldn't figure out how it could have
yeah,
possibly got built. They still don't know.
yeah, Stonehenge.
Stonehenge. No, that's a different one. That's where
No,
they're all sitting
you're talking
upwards.
about
But there's a
Easter.
bunch of different
You're
places.
talking about Easter Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a trip that people like. They sit there and they turn a blind eye. Like, they try to be logical about it. But if you look in a lot of different cultures and like their hieroglyphics, their paintings, or their any of the history, there's always something in there that resembles like something to do with outer space and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, the Hindus, man. They had the
Yeah,
dude in the spaceship. They had the all the carriages with wings on them. They're looking
yeah,
like spacecrafts and whatnot.
yeah. And you got to think about it like this. Okay, from the first, modern times, pre World War II, post World War II, the whole Roswell, New Mexico incident and stuff like that. Look at how far in advance our technology came in a short amount of time.
Yep. Yeah, there
Like,
was a huge burst of technology. If people, you can look that up too. Right after the
yeah,
findings of that, there was like a huge, technological advancement in our society,
yeah.
big time.
I mean, you went from VHS to DVD to fucking digital, like in less than 20 years.
And
Yeah,
you know that the government, the U.S. government, actually NATO, I think the National Alliance, just actually acknowledged the first all the sightings that's been going on for a bunch of
yeah,
years and all that
yeah,
shit. They
yeah.
just actually acknowledged it last year, I believe it was.
Yeah, the U.S. Navy or the Department of Defense acknowledged it was they're calling them unidentified aerial phenomenon, and,
Yep.
and they released it. You know what I mean? They released footage from fighter jets about objects that were in the sky that were doing things that they couldn't explain.
Yep. And just the acknowledgement of it, people don't understand how big that is. You know.
Yeah, it's a big thing because you got to understand that, like, you got to look at it. We're one planet in a universe, amongst in a solar system, in a universe amongst other universes. Do you really think that we're the only intelligent life form in this whole realm, this whole solar system universe? You know what I mean? Do you really think that we're really like the
Yeah.
only beings? No, we're not.
Yeah.
And
I mean, to say also that they're in the exact same form as us, nah, I don't believe that. They have to be, I think, much more different. But as far as life, intelligent, primitive, who knows? But it's out there. Probably
I
many forms, I would think. Maybe even more advanced than us if they go back
well,
historically farther.
they say that, like, the way that those ships, those spacecraft, the way they maneuver, that it would be physically impossible for anybody on Earth to, you know, to withstand or even survive the amount of G forces in a move like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that's why I believe personally that people talk about the like the way the aliens look, and I think that that's like a coat, an outer coat, so they can survive. You know, moving at the speed of
Well,
light, certain
it,
amounts of time, less oxygen. You know, like Independence Day. You know, it's like a
yeah.
coat they have on.
I mean, if you look at like the shapes, and then you look at like some of the ancient artifacts and skeletons or bone structures, if you look at the Egyptians, they have that. They always have that funny shape head as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Fucking Machete. Shout out to Machetes, man. And like, he's always saying some funny shit. That fool.
I know. I
Hey,
mean,
they come from the planet of Juarez, nah, nah.
and think about it. We haven't been back to the moon for how long, and why is that? What's on the dark
Ooh.
side of the moon that we don't know it's there? What's back there? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's a good point.
You know what I mean?
I trip out if I ever look at and you know, that's another thing. The correlation between life, extraterrestrial life, and the universe. You know how much space there is. That's what we're talking about here. I've always been fascinated. You know, I used to read books from Einstein, like the theory of relativity. You know, and wormholes, time travel.
Yeah,
So like when you look at a star in the sky, you know, you're not even looking at it now. You're actually looking at an explosion that happened thousands. You're looking back in time, you
yeah.
know.
And that's the thing though too, is like,
It's not in real time. It's so
no,
far distance wise that you're looking back, you know, at an explosion that happened 1,000 years ago.
yeah, and the things we see in our solar system. I mean, think about it. They got the Big Dipper. They got these formations that are up there, and it's like, did that just randomly appear, or is that a sign of something else, or is that some sort of
Right?
symbol, or you know what I mean?
They look built on
Yeah,
all these planets.
yeah, and I've seen things personally. Like my kids witnessed it with me. We went through a fast food joint. Like it was like 2 in the morning and shit. It was it was COVID time and shit, bro. And fucking
Mm-hmm.
they were staying up late. We was hungry and we're sitting there, and I seen this light come up off to the right hand side, and I was thinking, oh, it's a medevac, like a helicopter, like something must have happened or some shit, because where it took off from was by a hill. And then this thing was fucking. I goes, no, it's not flashing, and it's fucking way different orange. And this motherfucking thing came up and then shot straight up in the air, bro. Shit you not. My kids were like, "What was that?" I was like, "Fuck," you know?
Damn, for real.
Yeah,
Ooh, man, I would always spook out. You know, I don't want to. I wouldn't lie. I've had some what's that word? Supernatural occurrences, but never extraterrestrial. You know,
yeah,
that's a whole nother story, but they're almost in the same field, the way
yeah.
I see it. You know what I mean?
You know what? And Joaquin Zamora, was anyone really on the moon? Hey, that there's been the astronauts that were there that have spoken and said that there's things up there that that scared them, and that's why they didn't go back. You
Hey,
know?
and I was watching the videos of some of the astronauts seeing lights, different formations, and I tripped out. That kind of stuff interests me. You know, I watch it, and just like I said about also, you know, afterlife, you know, possessions, and it goes back so far. You know,
And
since
you
since uh what do you call it? Semitic, you know, like Semitic
I
religions,
mean,
Egyptian times.
you got to think about it too. Like our history is based off before Christ, after Christ. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there was still life prior to those times. There was still, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So like,
Much before that. I mean,
yeah,
long before the story of any of them. Like I was saying, Semitics. You know, some of
yeah,
the ancient Egyptian religions go back way since the first stories of the Old Testament. You know, with Abraham and Isaac and
yeah,
King Herod and all that. You know, it's like to the first tribes of Israel, the first 12 tribes, first
yeah.
mankind.
But you got to look at it like this. There's certain religious groups that have, like the Vatican has secrets. They have a
Oh
vault.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
no
And
doubt.
you know, to sit there and think that there's nothing visiting this planet when like you see things in the sky all the time. You see things at night, satellites flying. You see lights. You know what I mean? They say they're planets, but the government has, you know, put this narrative out, and made the people believe what they want them to believe based on the information that we're taught in school, the information that they let out. You know what I mean? They control people's minds with like a false narrative. You know what
Oh
I mean?
yeah, and that's the whole thing. The government's known for been doing that, not just ours, but the whole. I think that there's personally, I think that there's a ban. You know, like the Rothler shit type shit. You know, I think there's Illuminati. I think there's a band of super wealthy that actually control the world, as opposed to just the United States government. There's powers. People don't think the U.S. government is big, but there's powers much larger. We're
Yeah,
talking world powers. You know.
there's things that they don't want us to know. They keep secrets, they hide stuff, but they finally came out with the UFO thing because there was so many reports, so many sightings, so much stuff out there that and then with was it Snowden or whatever when he released all those files and stuff, you know what I mean? You know,
Credible people with sightings, with information they were told to not release. I mean, serious shit.
and there's declassified government documents and stuff from shit like that are out there. You just gotta look them up. And Machete says, "Are there other planets like Earth?" Well, yeah, there. I mean, I assume so because we can't be the only planet that can sustain life. We can't be the only planet with the ecosystem. You know what I
We
mean?
found one. They found one. It's called something Centauri.
Yeah.
It's like so many light years away right now. Though they're having a problem trying to figure out how to get
Okay.
there. You know what?
But
Alpha Centauri. That's
yeah.
what it's called. Alpha Centauri. Check it out.
What if
It's like Earth.
they tell us that these light years are so far away, but in reality, it doesn't take that long to get there. They're just hiding stuff that they don't want people to know.
Anymore, I don't believe it. It's hard to know what's what.
Yeah.
You know? Because if it's anything that it's something you've been told. It's not like any one of us actually jumped in a ship, went up there and said, "Oh, that shit's far," you know?
Yeah, exactly. And Machete is right. You know what I mean? The U.S. government and particularly CIA, they covered up these facts. You know what I mean? To cover up.
Yeah. That's what they do best. Is I believe, like we were just saying, is keeping people in the dark.
Yeah, and that's
and making them think that they're in the know when keeping them in the dark. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Making them believe what they want to believe so they can go about doing their things. Look at Area 51. You know what I mean? One of them
10 different stories about it.
A place that they say didn't exist. You guys got what the Armago, whatever, that one in New Mexico. You got the test range out there.
White sands, all types of strange shit too happens. I'm talking vibrating around the cities, and the list goes on. Sightings.
And then like the Denver International Airport, they say there's tunnels under there that connect various places. You know what I mean? In the Rockies. You know? And they're just cover-ups. There's, you know what I mean? They're conspiracies. They're cover-ups. You can say what you want to say about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably end up. I know this is a good lie, but I'll probably end up erasing it after, because you'd be surprised at the type of things they trip out on, especially when you start talking about government.
Oh,
they have a pact you make with YouTube, not to talk about any type of government issue, any type of relevant, like
and that right there is censorship.
There's revolution.
That's censorship. They're censoring our freedom of speech. They're censoring our right to speak on what we want to by censoring us by saying, well, you can't speak on that. Well,
no doubt.
It's free. It's the
freedom. And they're getting way worse with it now. Now they just took it to another level recently with that new director.
Yeah.
YouTube just had a new director jumped in about 6 months ago, and that's the one that came with the cursing policies, with a lot of policies. The new policies, the stricter they got, came with this new director.
And the way I see that, that's like a form of communism. That's like the shit North Korea does, how they censor their people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, that's a crazy story. North Korea. That's right there. What do you call it? Wool over your eyes at the finest. At its finest.
And that's what they do. You know what I mean? The UFO exists. I've seen shit. I've been out in the woods enough at night to see shit. You know what I mean? And I've always, and I'm also a firm believer in Bigfoot. I've seen shit. I've experienced shit. And what if
they're out there.
The whole Bigfoot thing is related to the whole UFO thing, you know what I mean? Or what if Bigfoot's really subterranean, you know what I mean? Underground.
Well, all of it's going to fall under the category of things that the government's not going to release. Because if they release one, if they talk about beings, possibly underwater or Bigfoot or extraterrestrials, then they got to talk about everything. They got to talk. If you acknowledge one, you acknowledge everything. So they're like, let's sweep it all under the rug. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they always talk about UFO activity around military installations, volcanoes, certain places in certain continents. You know what I mean?
Bermuda Triangle. That's wild.
Yeah, and all that. And look at Mount St. Helens when that eruption happened. There was a story about a cover up, about a government cover up to deal with Bigfoot over there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
So
know,
on that, okay, we'll go ahead and just swerve right. We're already 20 minutes in on to the next question. So it's a perfect time to switch it up because we're talking about the government. So the fentanyl crisis, man, you know, people are dropping left and right. RIP to all the fallen ones, you know, thousands
uh,
of people, hundreds of thousands. What's your take on it? How did it get here? Why? And then I'll give my opinion along the way, you know?
well, you got to understand the fentanyl crisis. You know, you know, it's a pharmaceutical, right? It's a opioid, right?
Yeah, no
But
doubt.
individuals that first started getting on like narcos and Vicodin, how did those come about? It's because the doctors prescribed the painkillers to individuals that
Hmm.
probably didn't need them, right?
Hmm.
The doctors make money from the patients. The
No doubt.
pharmaceutical companies make money off people being prescribed their medications, their
No
painkillers, right?
doubt. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
Okay, so
Cash cow.
right, so they know these people are going to get addicted to a certain substance. Then you got the drug rehabs, you got the jails. They all make money off of it. The states make money off of it, and all that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like they know what kind of substance fentanyl is. They knew the issue that that's going to happen with it,
Hmm.
and believe it or not, the government controls more of that stuff that happens on the streets than people realize. You know,
Yeah.
people think, oh man, the drugs are getting through the borders.
Hmm.
Okay, how are they getting through? Do you not think that the government isn't in cahoots with, you know, some of these cartels to get stuff over, to get a kickback and money, to get a bribe? You know
Oh,
what
I
I
agree
mean?
completely.
You know, and then you say, oh, we got this problem with fentanyl. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? What are we going to do? People are dying. Low key, what's happening? It's the easiest way of population control. You know what I mean?
No,
You know,
that's a very good point.
you know,
That's a good take on it, you know?
you know, and then people are addicted and they want to get people into rehab, and they're addicted to this. And, you know, we need money to fight this. We need money for this. It's all about money. And that
Hmm.
money's not really going to help these individuals that have an issue with their addiction, because an addiction, it's a disease. It's more than being hooked on a substance. It's a mental thing.
Yeah, it's a whole lifestyle.
Individuals use these substances to cope and deal with certain things in life. They self-medicate. You know, they're going through issues, and they use, like, people are like, oh, tweakers are tweakers. Well, some individuals use that to deal with things in life. They use it to deal with, you know, everyday thing. You know, like, you know, people, you know, fentanyl is like another thing. It's a painkiller, right? Or it's a tranquilizer. You know what I mean? And then they got
Something
this
like
other
that.
form. Yeah, this other form of fentanyl that you know what I mean. And this
Yeah.
other shit that they got out there now, that Zaza, whatever it is, that shit that's eating people alive like they're
Oh,
fucking,
yeah.
you
That
know.
trank.
Yeah, yeah, and think about it. All
Damn. Yeah, no, no doubt. That's definitely a good take on it. So my take on why it's here, I believe now that you just said it, I think that, you know, they probably do let it in for those very reasons, like you said, being in cahoots with them. But I will blame them for. I've always said this. I think now whether now you got me thinking whether they did it on purpose or not. But I do believe they caused it because of the reason why is this: the cartels, the government, they don't sell it as fent. You know, you don't just go buy a 20 of fentanyl, you know, a half a gram of fentanyl. They sell it what? In the form of a blue, in the
yeah, all
form of a painkiller. Of those M boxes, those blues they sell it as, that's a name brand painkiller, oxycodone, you know?
yeah, and
They sell it as that because they're trying to substitute it for something because there was a ban about 12 years ago on opioids. There was the war against opioids, you know? A lot of people, like you were saying, um, pharmaceutical companies, doctors were making a lot of money from just writing scripts to average people that didn't need them. So
yep,
because of that, they sort of put a cut on it. Now, when that happened, the cartel saw an opportunity to like, oh, hey, you know, we can kind of step in here, take what we have, which is this fence shit by the ton, sell it sort of in the, you know, because it's in the same field but much more dangerous. We can sell it as this, you know. I don't think it would be as much of a problem if they sold it as fent. Like, okay, you need here's a 20 of fent, you're getting this much, half a gram, but they
but
sell it as other shit. People think
yeah,
they're buying perks, you know what I mean?
and they're throwing it in pills, they're throwing it in heroin, they're throwing it in cocaine, they're throwing it in meth.
Yeah, they're doing the old cut and slip a Rooney, you know what
Yeah,
I mean? You don't know what you're getting.
yeah, and these dudes are sitting there, you know, feeding their addiction, dying, and you know they know there's a crisis. How is it
But
that?
But now the way you said it, Smoke, I'm thinking to myself, maybe there was a plan from the beginning. Maybe they put a stop to the fucking perks just so that they could have the cartel come in with the fent and make a fucking and then the what do you call it? The healthcare industry would get rich. And you would thin out the population. All that makes sense. Maybe it's been a plan since the beginning.
Yeah, it's just like the whole thing is like you prescribe like cancer, right?
Yeah.
Motherfucker, we got a cure for HIV, right?
Oh, for sure. But if you cure somebody, you don't make no money on them.
Yeah, and so you tell me there's no cure for cancer. So what happens?
You
Cancer
just keep
medication.
them alive just enough so that they got to pay you every year,
Yeah, they go through all and radiation. They go through chemo, right? That's not good for a person. I honestly believe chemo doesn't help cancer patients at all. I honestly believe
Me either.
chemo is something that
I'm against it.
yeah, that actually speeds up the process. You know what I mean? And it masks it. You know what I mean? To make you think.
Yeah.
There's and there's so many natural cures and plants stuff like that. There's an old Native American I was told by an old elder one time that the natives, that there's a plant that they have proven back hundreds of years ago that cured cancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if the government can't make no money off of it, if they can't tax it,
It's worthless to them.
it's worthless to them. How is it that fucking loads of illegal goods and shit get fucking stopped at the fucking borders and the ports and shit, but all this fentanyl is getting through, all these fucking other shit is getting through. It's letting that shit through, bro. It's fucking, it's ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, they're gonna say there's a crisis and there's an issue with addiction, with fentanyl and drugs and stuff like that. First it was heroin, then it was meth, then it was ice, then it was fucking regular pills. Now it's fentanyl. Now there's another one, another super drug. Like, come on, you think they don't have something to do with it? They're making money off of that. You know what I mean? They're
automatic, bro.
And they're making money.
You're right on your shit. See, that's why I wanted to talk to you about this, because I know, you know what I mean. You know what you're talking about. You're not a fool. You're not a follower. I was like, watch, Smokey will have a good opinion on this shit.
Yeah, because what it is it's they make money off of prescribing medications, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pharmaceutical companies. Do you really think a script of fucking Vicodin or fucking Norcos is gonna cost $150 and $200? Fuck no, that's a markup. They make that shit.
Oh yeah, that shit's like a cent a piece,
Yeah,
a cent a pill.
25 cents a fucking pill, bro. And
there
then
you go.
they jack the prices up just when they do with medications like diabetic medications or medications for certain disease and shit. People can't get those medications or cholesterol medications because they're so fucking expensive. You know what I mean? They're trying to make money off of it. They jack the prices. It's all
That's like in Mexico.
Yeah,
you can get a ton of drugs, but you can't get your medication for your fucking your grandma's diabetes. That's the shit that's really hot. You know what I mean? That people are paying tons for.
Trip out on this. You get hurt, you get sick, right? You go to the doctor, right? They prescribe you medication, antibiotics and shit, right? Every time you get sick, you go to the doctor, you take antibiotics, you take medication, right? Mm-hmm. Soon enough, your body gets so used to that it becomes ineffective. Those medications don't work no more. So you got to go to something else, which is going to cost you more. You know what I mean? Yeah. So you're used to taking that. And all of a sudden, you're really, you weren't really sick to begin with. The doctor just said you were, and they fed you all this shit. Now your body's become fucking used to this shit. But when you're really sick and you really need it and you take it, it doesn't work. So you got to prescribe you something else. You know what I mean? I personally, I don't go to the doctor. I don't take medication for shit unless I really need it. My kids don't go to the doctor. They don't take medication. You know what I mean? Unless they, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. When I was young, when my youngest son, he's 7. When he was young, just a baby, he had a fever. Like, he was a few months, and I'll never forget, the doctor wanted to stick a big old needle in his back and take out fluids from his spine just to check for like meningitis or something. Yeah. And I was like, what? And I told him, you want to do all that? And I told him, what could happen if it goes wrong? He's like, well, he could be paralyzed, he could die. And I'm like, so you want to stick a big ass needle in my little son's back just because he has a fever, just for the fuck of it, to check for something and possibly kill him, all this? I told him, what do you think I'm stupid or what? Fuck no. And of course my son was fine. He just had a fever, but that's how stupid these doctors are. They want to play games.
So So they never take medication. They don't take shit, right? So during the whole COVID shit, like I never got a vaccine. I never wore a fucking mask. My kids didn't wear masks. Ain't nobody, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So come this last year, we get it, right? Well, my son got it. He had no symptoms. He didn't give a shit, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My daughter had it 2 days. She was fine. I got it. Fucking 2 days, I was fine. The old lady, bro, she's always taking like fucking aspirins and Tylenols and this and that, right? It
Mm-hmm.
and she ended up getting the vaccine because of work, right? It hit her fucking hard. And I'm
Oh
like,
no shit, huh?
I know a bunch of individuals that got the vaccine and they still got it. So what's the point of getting the vaccine? What are they putting in you? What are they experimenting on you with? I don't believe in the vaccines. I don't believe in the flu shot. You know, and Machete's got some points. So, and I'll send mine to Machete because he lost one of his brothers to synthetic dope. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And that's, you know what I mean? That's just, losing someone like that to something that, that was man-made synthetic. You know what I mean? And fentanyl being a strong opioid painkiller, like you said, it's addicting. You know what I
I
mean?
feel like I know, like you said, it went from this to that, but how many vatos did we see, shooting that tar for fucking 20 years and they were still
Okay,
out there?
I
But
got a
now
story.
they got that fucking them bluesies around them and it's rough. They're going. My good friend of mine I grew up with just fucking OD
Okay,
about
I
six
got
months ago.
I got you. I got a story about the heroin and shit, and I'm gonna send mine to Machete. You know what I mean, for his loss and shit, bro. Because
Yeah, and most definitely.
so my grandpa, right? He died a heroin addict. Okay, my grandpa, it died in 2015. Okay, he had been shooting heroin since the 70s, right?
Okay.
2006, he goes to the doctor because he's having chest pains. Right, he's a heroin addict.
Mhm.
So he goes, and the doctor tells him, "Hey, when did you have your last major heart attack?" He goes, "Major heart attack? I ain't had no heart attacks." He's like, "You've had three of them." He goes, you shouldn't even be alive right now." We got to do a bypass on everything he had, right? The doctor starts asking him. He goes, "Well, I'm a heroin addict." You know what I mean? So the doctor tells him, he goes, "I shouldn't be telling you this, but in my professional opinion, if it wasn't for the heroin, you wouldn't be alive." Right?
Oh, sedated him and got him right, huh? So he could keep on.
So he in 2015, he'd been a heroin addict for a long time. He he went to the hospital. He coded in the morning, right? They brought him back. I went in the afternoon. He was, talking. He's old elder, old native guy, and that was funny. I was talking to him, and he was trying to get me to go tell my uncle to bring him a fix. You know what I mean? He want. So me being me, I'm like, man, my grandpa's native. Why aren't you guys doing nothing for him? So I came back, got a prayer feather, some sage, and tobacco, and I took it to him. And I go, "Hey, here's my prayer feather." I go, "Here, it's for you." I go, "Pray." And he held on to that feather all night, and he passed away with that feather in his hands the next day. But when I went and seen him after he passed, he looked so different. He looked, what I mean, he looked like he wasn't in it, wasn't consumed by it. He looked at peace. And everybody's like, you gave him that feather, and it gave him peace. It gave him what he needed to make the journey to get over that hump. And
Oh, no
he
doubt.
and he, I guess he had lost it during the night, and he was panicking. Where's my feather? Where's my feather? And he kept that thing in his hand all the way till he passed. And I'll never forget that. You know what I mean? To know
Yeah,
that.
I had basically kind of that similar experience with my mom. You know,
Yeah.
just almost the exact same you're talking about. She was Catholic, Mexicana, so she had her rosary, but same thing. I went and seen her, and her shit was COVID though. That shit kicked her ass. I don't know what it because my mom was little. I don't know what it is about people small, if it's females that are small or what, but because my tia got it too, but didn't get as bad. And and nobody was vaccinated or nada.
I mean, if you look at it, man, it's all, the government's always, they use drugs, and Machete is right. It comes from China, but they say it comes through the cartels. But you got to know the government has the CIA, the DAA.
Yeah, he's right. I agree. Machete.
You know, you
I
know,
just don't understand why it's so damn deadly. People just can't seem. I guess maybe they're just fucking with the wrong. Maybe they don't know the dosage they're buying.
it's just
You're just seeing. You're seeing a lot of bodies.
yeah, and they're saying they have a crisis, but they're not doing nothing for the crisis. They're not doing nothing to help it. They're not doing nothing.
Oh no, they're. I think, like you said, they're glad for it. They're gonna let everybody wean themselves off.
It's
Uh,
like this. Okay,
kill themselves off.
the crack epidemic. Okay, in the 80s, early 90s, heroin. right? The meth, you know what I mean? When back in the day when it was dope, like when it was crank, when it wasn't before the ice, it was dope. Motherfuckers weren't acting all crazy on that shit, bro. They weren't doing the shit until when that ice hit, motherfuckers started fucking going all fucking crazy. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, that was
Every time something new gets introduced, you know what I mean?
people
Something
go wild on it, huh?
and when the government's responsible for majority of the fucking the issues with the drugs and shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, most definitely. I completely agree.
Like motherfucker, you mean to tell me we can fucking tell when a fucking missile launches from Russia or fucking China, but we don't know what the fuck's coming across the border? Come on,
For real, yeah, that's a damn good point.
you know?
Fucking Uncle Sam always playing tricks.
Yeah, that's how it is. You know what I mean? That's exactly how it is.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, look at they did experimental drugs on the troops in World War II. Hitler did the same thing with amphetamines. They gave it to our troops. You know what I mean? They're special forces guys in modern times that use some sort of thing to keep them up. You know what I mean? To be more alert during combat. You know,
Oh
there's
man, the Germans, the Japanese, they had the
yeah,
kamikazes on that shit. They were going wild. I mean, some people say the nuclear bomb was the only reason they got shut down. You know,
yeah, and think about the nuclear bomb. How in the fuck did we get that technology so quick? All of a sudden, boom, we got a hydrogen bomb. Like, where'd that technology come from?
right?
You know?
Damn, and that's terrible. That was I still believe, you know, they at any moment humans are gonna be the ones to we're gonna be the ones to blow ourselves off the map. You know.
Yeah, we are, and it's just crazy, man. Like, it's just so much shit. People need to open their eyes and understand that. You know what I mean? And people need to understand too that the Constitution protects the people. That when the government becomes radical and tyrants, that we have the right to.
Overthrown.
Yeah,
It's our
exactly.
duty. It
Yeah,
actually says it's our duty as a people.
yeah, and it's written in the Constitution. It's written there, and people, I read the Constitution for what it is, and understand those rights pertain to us as the people. We the people. It doesn't matter, you know what I mean, where you're from, what your background is, what color your skin is. You know what I mean? This country was built off immigration and migrants. You know
Oh
what I mean?
yeah, they're the only people that are actually American or Native American, and those, and even some of them, you know, are immigrants. It's only certain amount of tribes that were here originally.
Yeah, but the the Aztec, Mayas, the Incas, this is all part of their land too. This is all part of
Oh
their
yeah. Oh, Aztlan, all of Colorado, Los Angeles, you know, California, all that was Aztlan, part of the Aztlan kingdom.
yeah,
You know, and conquistadors were in there, but that was long before, you know, we're talking the 1400s, 1300s there,
yeah.
1100s, long before any United States or anything like
And,
that.
and that's where like I people like they talk about the whole immigration thing. How you gonna sit there and talk about immigration reform when individuals are coming over here for a better life, working, doing jobs that fucking motherfuckers don't want to do? Don't come over and say, oh, they're taking our jobs. They're not taking your jobs. It's just your fucking lazy ass doesn't want to get out there and work.
No doubt.
You know,
I completely agree.
and this country was built off immigrants and migrants. You know what I mean? No one's illegal here except for the fucking Europeans that came over here, fucking Columbus and all them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
This is
Yep.
this tradition. We're all indigenous. The Aztlan, the fucking Aztecs, the Mayas, and it's all we're all indigenous to this land. This is our land.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean. That's just how I feel about it. You know what I mean? I don't believe in the whole. Okay, yeah, if you're
That's
gonna,
like me and my tia. We get into it a lot because she's like, you know, what do you call it? A devoted, you know, Catholic, like a lot of Mexicanos are. And I told her, like, Tia, you gotta realize, like, I don't mean to question because we was all taught, you know, CCD, the classes, all that, but it's like at the same time that's a religion that is forced upon you, forced upon people. But that was brought by the Spanish,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
by the conquistadors, and they had it was a choice. You're either gonna be Catholic and pray the way we do, you know, or you die, you know, and so
Yeah,
it's hard to respect a religion that was pushed upon people. I still tell them, you still believe in the saints, you still pray the rosary because your ancestors long ago were either like murdered or raped, you know, and told they had to. The Spanish Inquisition.
and that's what they did with the Native Americans. That's why you got the band of mission Indians in California because they built the missions, and you know what I mean. And the U.S. government tried to force Native Americans, and they put them into these boarding schools and shit, and murdered fucking children and fucking
Yeah.
made their hair and all that shit. You know what I mean? So
Or
you can't.
just like Spanish.
Yeah,
That's not a that's it's Spanish. Obviously, it came from Spain, not
yeah,
from the original roots of the origins. Of the areas from what would now be all the way from Colorado down to shit. South America, South
yeah,
America, all that.
yeah, exactly. And people, they sit there and they pull this whole, this is the land of the free, we the people. Well, the people that are here, regardless of how they came over, they're still part of this country. They work here. You know what I mean? They have those rights too. You know what I mean? Yeah,
Yep.
okay, maybe, you know what I mean, make the process easier for them to come across, to get their papers, to become citizens, because the process is so fucking hard and difficult for people and so expensive that, what I mean, that's why they do it the way they do, because they don't make it easy. But yet uh people from other countries can come over here and fucking make it happen real quick. You know what I mean? Like, they can come over, get a visa, and fucking work, and get their citizenship rather quickly. But yet individuals from Mexico, they make it fucking hard.
Yeah, and that's another good point right there. I mean, a lot of immigrants, if you want to call it that, or nationals, from other countries that do it legally, have a fucking mean beef with illegals because of the shit that they had to go through to get that green card. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the thing though too. Is like, how you gonna sit there and justify something and say some shit that, you know what I mean, that exactly, Machete, for the people, by the people, we the people. You know what I mean? You know, and it's just fucking, the government just fucking, it's just all money, bro. It's all money. It's all fucking control. It's all power.
Yeah,
And,
no doubt.
you know,
So we'll touch on that last subject then, because we're already going on. Going to be an hour here, and I don't want to have to take up your whole night, homie.
that's all good, bro. I'm chilling.
So here we go. Climate change. What do you think is a reason for it? People are saying it's biblical. I think it's obviously just from the abuse, common sense, the abuse that we've done upon the earth, the universe, the trash, the aerosol cans, putting holes in the atmosphere. The polar ice caps are melting. You can see big old chunks of them falling into the ocean. You know what I mean?
A lot of it is, of our own doing, but also at the same time, you got to understand that, the government does things. They control the weather. They do cloud seeding. It's been proven that they seed the clouds with
The
mercury,
jets.
and mercury is, toxic. You know what I mean? Uh,
Yeah.
they got these stations. They got these aircraft. You know what I mean? And climate change. Yeah, it's cause for, the abuse that we've done to the earth, to Mother Earth, to this, what I mean, this planet that brings us life. I mean, you know, and
Yeah, no doubt.
and a lot of it, climate change, yeah, okay, so when COVID happened, not everybody was driving, right?
Mhm.
So they said that during the whole time of COVID, that a lot of shit cleared up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gases went down, and all this. But what, as far as what my job goes with climate change, they try to blame climate change on the massive fires that we have, and the dangerous rates of spread, and why they're burning the way they do. In all actuality, it's not really climate change. Why those fires are burning so intense? A lot of it is the fact that, it's not that the forests are managed poorly. It's that they have the funding and the resources to go in there and thin out the forest,
There
and
you
do.
go. Clear it so it's not
but
so intense.
but they can't do it when you got these organizations like Sierra Club, and other organizations that will file injunctions and lawsuits to stop that, because there's some sort of endangered insect or a fucking nest that a bird hasn't been in
Wow.
years. And then all this shit gets caught up in court. So these projects that they have scheduled for these certain areas to thin it out, or to even go in and log, they can't log no more, because these environmentalists, you know what I mean, they sit there, and what happens over time is you get an area that, you know, I mean, okay, you've seen parts of, like, parts of New Mexico, parts of Arizona, where they thin the forest. You can actually look through the forest and look for a good long distance underneath the canopy. Over in the West Coast, you know what I mean? You can't go fucking 5 feet in without being buried. You know what I mean?
Wow. Thick
And,
shrub.
yeah, and it's not that they can sit there like, oh, they're not managing the forest. How can they manage the forest when they are their hands are tied with this litigation that's set up in court, where you can't do these certain projects because there's an endangered species or this or that, or there's, you know what I mean.
And
And
then the thing ends up catching fire, and they lose the endangered species and the damn land and everything around it.
yeah, because the fuel loading, the amount of fuel that can be consumed is greater than what it would have been if they would have went in there and did some salvage logging, instead of letting that shit sit there and pile up, and then you get a fire in there, and once vegetation is dead and dry, it stays dry no matter if it rains. It may get water to soak it up, but it's not actually, it doesn't got roots to fucking live. It's dead, and it just sits there and it piles up, and then that's where you get these fires with this extreme rates of spread, where fires are going fucking 23 to 30,000 acres in the first 24 hours, which is fucking unheard of. You know what I mean? And
So, what do you know about like trees that fall down and turn? Because I just had a question for you because I was always curious about this. I've heard about people saying that trees that burn down and fall in areas are actually like fuel, if you will. The nitrogen helps the soil for the next batch or our next forest coming through. Is there any truth to that? Like
what happened?
that a burnt area can come back twice as healthy, or
Okay, yeah. So depending on the intensity of the fire, now if you have a low intensity fire that burns through the understory, like the beneath the trees, and goes through and burns all the brush and the shrub and the dead and down fuels, and it doesn't have a lot of intensity, then yes, it will burn. It will come back and it'll be healthy. Now, if you get a fire that goes through there with high intensity, gets in the trees, and basically moonscapes the thing, that forest is no longer going to be a forest. It's going to come back as shrub and brush, and
man,
the trees are going to. It's going to take hundreds of years before trees even grow to a level that, that looks nice. You know what I mean? And it all depends on the intensity of the fire. It depends on how hot that fire burned, how fast it went through there. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of variables that play into that. And
sometimes I know you see them fires so hot it looks like the dirt is burnt. You know what I mean?
what it is that we call it moonscape. That's all ash. That's how hot that fire got, that it just fucking incinerated shit. Okay, so like, I know if you see fires, you'll see like, black smoke, right? Well, prior to all this high intensity, fire shit, like real dark black smoke was indicative of a structure fire, house fire. But what it is that there's so much fuel, there's so much oils and so much stuff in these fuels, that it's burning with so much intensity that it just there's so much fuel there, it just explodes. You can sit there and okay, so take for instance, the town of Paradise, when that fire happened, right? I was out, I had injury, I got injured a year before, or a couple years before, so I had a knee injury, so I was out, right? So um the Paradise fire started at 6 something in the morning, in late fall, right?
Uh,
But we were in the middle of a drought. They had 30-mile-an-hour sustained winds. You know what I mean? There
wow,
was
bad
there was
condition, all the wrong conditions for the
yeah,
right fire.
there was nothing nobody could do to get in front of it, to stop it. And they put a lot of blame on like the forest management, but like I said, how can you manage something that you can't even manage when there's litigation caught up in court?
Oh
You know,
yeah,
and
wow, what a
it,
shit storm.
yeah, it is. You know,
And it seems like there's a little there's blame to place in not just in one area but other places. A little blame goes everywhere.
yeah. So Timo asked right there. He goes, "What percentage of major forest fires are man-made or caused by lightning?" Okay, so you got to look at it. You know what I mean? Usually, when a lot of fires go undetermined, so man-made, as far as individuals setting fires, like arsonists, that's a small percentage. Lightning fires are up there in a higher percentage, because what happens when in the summer you get those, like, okay, you live in New Mexico, so you guys get the monsoonal moisture, like in June and July, you get that monsoonal moisture come through, you guys get the thunderstorms, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And so when you get that's been happening over here, so like in August, July, August, you get these lightning storms, these lightning busts that come through, and you'll get like fucking 1,200, 2,000, 3,000 downstrikes, right? Now, out
Mhm.
of the downstrikes, maybe a third of them are positive, which means they actually hit something on the ground. And a lightning can strike a tree, right? and that tree can smolder for weeks and weeks before it's even ever detected. And what
Shit,
happens
that
is,
shit is hot.
yeah, so sometimes it'll smolder down into the roots, and then it takes for that fire to get down in the roots and smolder out up into some ground fuels, and then start. And then you get these lightning fires that are in areas that are inaccessible, during the backcountry and stuff. So a lot of fires are caused by lightning. People fucking campfires when they're not supposed to have campfires. Fucking charcoal grills, vehicle fires. You know what I mean? But a small percentage are fucking are human caused. Now the last few years, there's been a big push with the energy companies like PG&E and SoCal Edison, because they're high tension, they're big lines. They're so old and they don't take care of the maintenance on them, and they get a strong wind event and they arc and lines fall. So you get a lot of fires starting like that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Globetrotter, the biggest fire. Oh, yeah, the Dixie Fire was PG&E and their faulty equipment. But you got to understand though too.
I'll be right back, homie. 1 second here.
You guys got to understand too that in California, you have the U.S. some Bureau of Affairs, and you have Cal Fire in your local government. Now, in the forest and the wildland, the majority of the responsibility falls under the different Forest Service, different forests, and they're like, you got the El Dorado, the Tahoe, and then you got Cal Fire, which has a responsibility area too. Now, so when they got a lot of fires going on, resources get spread thin. So what they do is they sit there, and a lot of units, they don't let no other resources go out just in case something happens on their unit. Now on the Forest Service side, last year there was 900 fire positions that was not filled in Region 5 California due to the thing with the hiring. You know what I mean?
It was a pretty bad year, right, for fires.
It wasn't too bad. I mean, there's been worse years. You know what I mean? I had the Mosquito, which was a big one, the McKinney up there in the Klamath, which fucking went big. But you got to
How long
understand.
you been with them, Smoke? How long you been with the department?
2012.
Damn, so you've been there over a deuce already then.
Yeah,
Over 10, huh?
yeah. Minus the 2, I was out for an injury, but you know what I mean. And you got to understand though, like when the resources are spread thin and they got multiple incidents going on, and especially with the federal resources, sometimes they may sit there and be like, hey, no one's going off forest or with Cal Fire, we can't send nobody because we need to have someone. We have these to cover our unit. And usually with Cal Fire, if they send out units to another unit, they'll backfill with other resources. And Cal Fire is pretty good with that. But I mean, you guys got to understand too. You guys see engines and shit, and forest fires and fires. Engines, they're good for structure protection and hose lays and shit like that. But the brunt force of the work comes from the hand crews, the hotshot crews on the line out there. You know what I mean? Cutting line and the dozers and shit like that. And sometimes
And guys die out there when they get caught on some of them ridges. That's when I always hear about the deaths. When guys get caught like on a flank or on a ridge or something, and they can't get out before the fire gets them.
I mean, far as burn deaths go, like that's not as big as individuals getting struck by trees. Biggest cause of fatalities is snags or branches coming down from trees or dudes getting hit by trees. Vehicle rollovers. Just certain rolling debris like rocks and boulders and shit like that. Burnovers and stuff, they do happen, but not as much as people think. A lot of it's due to fucking, trees and shit like that. And you gotta understand too that when you got a lot of fires going on in the western part of the U.S., like July, August, and you got fires in Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, fucking, you know what I mean? Utah, Colorado.
That's a lot of land. That's a lot. People don't understand the sheer size of a state.
Really, the resources are fucking, they're stretched thin. They don't have the resources. And then that's where you start getting the crews coming in from Mexico or Canada or from overseas. But, and then aircraft availability, you know what I mean? There's not always going to be aircraft available for that unless there's a life threat, to life or personal life or, something like that. You know what I mean?
Did you guys have more or less hands or whatever you want to call it backup when all of COVID happened? Were you guys short or more man, short man?
So with COVID, lucky for me, when COVID first happened, I was out on an injury. so I didn't have to go under the mandate of getting the whole vaccine. So
Yeah.
a lot of dudes left because of the mandate, because of the vaccine mandate. You know what I mean? You know, you guys have to have a vaccine, and the guys were like, no, like guys that didn't believe in it, they didn't get it, so they left the agency. You know what I mean? Now that they did away with it, guys are coming back, and you know what I mean. And it's just right now too. The issues was with the pay, the back pay, they for like you know getting paid more hourly. You know, because you know what I mean, you know, state and local governments, they get paid really good. They get portal to portal pays. Basically, they're getting paid 24 hours a day from the time they leave the station to the time we get back. Federally, we're getting 16s a day on a fire, and you know what I mean. I mean, yeah, you'll get like 1,000 hours of overtime a season. You know what I mean?
What about hazard? Does hazard kick in, or is that
Yeah.
just like non-existent, or how's
Oh,
that
yeah.
work?
You get hazard pay as soon as you're on a fire line or something. You get hazard pay. You get your overtime. You know what I
Per
mean?
diem, probably per diem for travel.
Yeah, per diem. If you're traveling or covering, you get per diem. You know, so you can make some good money. You know what I mean?
Oh, no doubt. Plus the life. I mean, it's not like you're sitting there washing dishes. No doubt. You know, I mean, no dish. Everybody who got a job, it's better than not having one. But I mean, it's almost. I could see how it could be appealing. You know.
You know, and that's the thing too is like individuals are like, why didn't you go work for Cal Fire? I mean, because you know, you guys, the way you guys work, you know, you guys only getting paid because I like with the Forest Service, you get so much training, so much experience. You get, I mean, the training level is just up there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, it's just you really do grimy work, and you know, so we do it for the sunsets, man. Some of those sunsets, I mean, you do work with your board. It's just one of those things.
Hell
You know?
yeah.
And I mean, progressively, yeah, fires have got worse in the last 10 years. You know what I mean? That they have.
But you're making a difference. You're not just making money. I mean, you really out there saving people's houses and lives and just learning in general. You know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you interact with the public, you interact with homeowners. You know what I mean? You know, you're coming back into fire camp, and they got people on the side of the road with signs, "Thank you," and you know what I mean.
So anybody out there, I just want to shout out while we're doing this interview that might be watching this, all my Califas people. If you got them nephews, brothers, anyone that wants to get involved in the Forest Service, in Cali Fire, whatever, you guys make sure you check out Smokey the Local Bear. You check out his channel. You know he's got badass channel. Oh, I don't know. I guess we might have lost him, but we'll see. He'll probably jump back on here in a second. But yeah, that's Smokey. Smokey the Local Bear, firefighter, Pinto, ex-convict. I like to tell people that because you can see, it's not always for life. People grow up. You can live that life, still have hands, still be down with it, and still, also do whatever else you do. Live your other life. So we'll see if he jumps back in or what's going on with him. If he lost, you need the. Let me know if you need the link or if you just hopped on out or what. I didn't pop him off, so see what happens. But yeah, just in case he doesn't jump back on, and we're having a good conversation about all kinds of stuff, just talking, chatting on some different subjects. Here he is, right here. All right, all right.
I hit the X by accident, bro.
That happens. All right on me.
No,
So
no.
yeah, I was just telling people if they want to check you out, check your channel out. Make sure they can always sign up. You guys are always looking for hands, right? Get in
Yeah,
the lifestyle.
yeah, you know what I mean? Especially anywhere like, the Forest Service is broken down into different regions and shit, region 5 California, region 6. Hold up, my dogs are barking. Hold up real quick.
And he's a solid dude. I'm not always saying for anyone on here, but maybe somebody that might be,
Yeah, they're broken up into different regions. Region 3 is Arizona, New Mexico. Region 1 like Montana, Wyoming, the Colorado. You know what I mean? They're different regions, and they hire everywhere. So you know what I mean. Anybody's
Hey,
interested.
I have one quick question I had to ask. I don't mean to cut you off, but because we was talking about lightning earlier. I know it's gonna sound, I'm pretty educated, but there's one thing I never looked up on, and it's the golden question everyone asks. So, does the lightning come from the ground or the sky?
You know what? So that's a mixed question, but we're taught that during a lightning storm to get low to the ground, and if you start feeling some sort of buzzing, like your hair standing up, better hope. You know what I mean? But they say it goes from the ground up, but you know what I mean. It's a mixed question.
Yeah, no doubt. Because I just never really looked into it, and I've heard it 10 times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Timo said, "Were you a wilderness person, type of person before you joined?" So my background, my mom remarried when I was a teenager, and she got with some cowboy dudes. So I was somewhat in and out of the woods growing up, going back and forth living with my dad in the city and shit from the hood. You know what I mean? I had some experience, uh, but not really like heavy into it. You know, not until I got into fire, then I really got into it, learning a lot. You learn,
Yeah.
you know.
Even me at a young age, I mean, I love the wilderness. Even though we're from Salas, we would try to get out of East Salas every weekend because fools was getting shot all the time and shit was popping. And my dad was in that life, so we would try to get out the weekends, and go to Nacimiento Lake. I don't know if you heard of that, San
Yeah,
Antonio Lake.
yeah, I know all that right there.
Yeah, that. So we would shoot right through Paso Robos. I don't know if you guys know the route, but through Salas, you're gonna go
Yeah,
through Paso Robos, King City.
yeah,
You know what I mean? All through there, Greenfield,
yeah.
and
All
then
that right there.
yeah. So we used to go there almost every weekend, and we'd go out there on the lake in our boat, And sometimes my dad would take one of the homies, and he would take his kids and shit. We would always have fun, but we always try. And then even right there where we're in Salas, you heard Hollister Hills riding dirt bikes. We'd go ride bikes at Hollister Hills.
You wanna play? Oh, sorry, I was talking to my daughter. Yeah, no, and all that right there, like, dude, like man, you know what I mean? Getting out's cool though. Everybody needs to get out and experience that.
Shit, especially when I got to, as everyone knows, like I always say in my stories, I left real young. We left Califas. When I got to Nuevo, there's a lot of rural land. Homie, we bought some, my dad had some feria, so we bought some land in Cuba, which is north of Albuquerque.
Yeah, like north. It's like northeast Albuquerque, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 80 miles north of Burque. And that
Yeah.
right there it's just all fucking, it's like being like Little House on the Prairie. I did everybody check out my video about the bees. We got attacked by bees. I'm talking coyotes out there. They have bears, mountain lions. Those are all real active. It's at the foothills of the MS Mountains, which are huge. They're like the Rockies of New Mexico.
Yeah, yeah. You know what, Timo? I've been. The only time I really been to Yosemite is on fires, bro. Like I spent a lot of time in the Sequoia Kings Canyon National Park, Padres National Forest, Sequoia National Forest, up in the Stanislaus National Forest. You know what I mean? Different places like that.
Fucking Machete. He's always clowning.
Yeah, he's always clowning, but I mean,
Ah,
climate change plays a big part in everything. You know what I mean? Whether we've always
That's why I wanted to ask you, because especially in your line of work, I'm sure that they say it has like you said, more than not, it's more directly impacted by, like you said, the how much fuel is in the area, how much they've dealt with it and not. But I guess I would think the hotter too makes the kindle. Don't they go off fire levels by something like the humidity rate along with the
okay. So
with
yeah,
the dryness or something like that when they meet up, when they level out or something?
so you have what you call like your fire danger rating, right?
Ah,
So they have what they call red flag warnings. So red flag warnings, which they have right there in New Mexico right now where you're at. I think they're having 30-mile or 60-mile-an-hour winds in parts of New Mexico. Uh,
ah.
Warmer temperatures, lower humidity. So your humidity, your relative, your RH is from 0 to 100, being like wet, like rain and stuff. So
Ah.
you get to about 30% RH and you start getting down. That's when things get a little bit tricky because you start getting into like the teens, like 15% RH, 10 or even 8, and you start getting down. That means that there's no moisture in the air. So it's dry air. And then you have a hot day, like it's 100 plus degrees, all that shit's baking in the sun. There's no moisture in the air. You got a little wind, and it doesn't take much to get shit going.
Yeah, now you got the combination for a dangerous fire. And then do you guys get like alerts in your sections when you get to that level, like, oh, we're on
Yeah.
a red alert?
Well, so what they do every day, they have a sit report that comes out, a situation report, and then we check the weather every day, look for the red flag warning, what the winds are going to be like, if it's going to be windy, what the temperatures are, what the humidity is going to be, and there's like a 24-hour trend or a 48-hour trend. You know what I mean? You got to keep an eye on that, and then also too, like they have what they call pocket cards, which is basically it's a pocket cards for a certain area, a certain part of the forest, or a forest that basically says like if you have these conditions, the chances of a fire going big really quick is really good if you have the right conditions. You know what I mean? 20-mile-an-hour winds at I mean, depending on time of day. You know what I mean, but I've seen fires burn fucking downhill at fucking night. That I was like, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Damn.
No, it just all depends because people don't realize though at night the forest it gets cold in the summertime. You motherfuckers think it doesn't get cold. It gets cold at night.
And that cold is more of a combination for the fire than not, right?
Yeah, it'll still burn. Trust me. I've been on a fire in Yosemite where I woke up and I had fucking frost on my beard and fucking shit was burning all night.
Damn.
You
No
know,
shit, huh?
yeah, it's just what I mean. There's so much. What I mean, there's so many factors. Weather's a factor. Time. Every geographical area in the U.S. has a different time of year where shit's burning. Like right now, Florida's got shit burning. North Carolina, Texas,
Trump country,
yeah,
Florida.
parts of New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado have fires and shit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They had a Colorado fucking when there's snow on the ground and it burnt like a couple acres. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that shit gets dry. You a lot of the places you're naming, like Nuevo, Arizona, certain parts of Colorado. It stays dry. The humidity level is pretty much low at all times, so it doesn't
Yeah.
stay moist.
And then like people think like, oh fuck, it's green. Fuck, go to fucking Florida and then the South when it's green and humidity's fucking it's hella high humidity. Shit still burns.
Yeah, for real? Does it still burn?
Yeah, it still burns.
Damn.
Every
Just can't stop it. That fire is wicked.
Yeah, it's just crazy. You know what I mean? Like we have a thing that we call the witching hour. It's like from like the time of between like 3 and 5. It's called the witching hour. It's the hottest part of the day with the chance of having the lowest humidity. And if you get a fire in that time, then you know what I mean? Because on the West Coast, think about it. The sun rises, right? So the southeast slope of a hill or a mountain or something is going to get the most sun. All the south, pretty much the south side, southwest, because it's in that part of the sun's in that part of the hemisphere in the summer.
No doubt, because they always say moss grows on the north side of the mountain.
Yes, moss grows on the north side, and so usually in a fire, the north side of a slope or a mountain, the fire activity is not really that intense. Usually, on the north side, it's always on the southeast or the southwest side, or you get a lot of fire activity because it's preheated. It gets the most sun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. All right, homie. Well, shit, we already got a solid hour in. I'm gonna eat something. I'm hungry. I got the munchies. I was just burning a little bit, but we covered some good points and shit. Gracias for being on, homie. Gracias, alas, buque.
Hey, bro, everybody have me saying that on my live, bro. They always want.
Hell yeah. Hey, nothing but respect, man. Hey, I got love for everybody. Like I said, even the vatos that don't get along with me, I got nothing but love, homie. Just like anyone else. I got a temper on me, and when I feel disrespected, I fucking bite back, But as far as holding on to grudges, being pissed off, especially over the tuba yarda shit, homie, I'm too old for all that shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. It's just fucking. It's pointless, bro. It's just.
I don't play that. I don't play into it. Like I said, I did for about a day or two just to let people know my point. And like I said, I get pissed off. But other than that, shit, nothing but love for everybody. All the platforms, all the raza. When I say all the raza, I mean all the razas, all the races, from my natives. You know what I mean? To the fucking güeritos, the gachos, everything. You know what I mean?
Everybody, man. We're all humans, man. We all gotta live here. You know what I mean?
Hey, we're all one race, the human race.
Yep.
That's the raza, the human raza.
Yep. Those are facts, bro.
Hey, thanks for jumping on, homie. I thought it was a pretty educational fucking talk. We hit up all kinds of topics, laughed a little, talked a little, shit. Yeah. Kick back,
Anytime, man. Any other subjects we can, what I mean?
Hell yeah.
I like talking about everything,
Simon, me too. Hey, you might learn something you don't, and you can talk about this or that. That's how people get to know, learn more.
That's what they say. Knowledge is useless unless you share it.
There you go. And knowledge is power once it is shared.
Yep.
All right, homie.
All right.
Thanks for tapping in. We'll see you. You have a good one.
You guys hit the likes on the way out for Mike one time.
Hey, you guys make sure you check out the Homie Smokes channel. Hit them likes, hit them subscribes, check out, go over there and hit that sub. It's free.
Yeah. All right.
All right, homie. All right, you guys. So there we go. That was the homie right there. We go back on the lives, and he's always been solid. OG. Like I said, I'm not to throw him under the bus, but went from the life, banging, a con, I believe it's with the Norte, somewhere in that area, and then all the way to growing up to being a family man, um, and raising his kids, being a firefighter, but also with the business. He's a certified hands. He's got those hands. Just not too long ago on a live, he was about to knock somebody's ass out because they cut him off in the car. So shout out to the homie Smoke. You know what I mean? Shout out to everyone in the live. Shout out to the homegirl. Shout out to Adon, Timo, Blinky, Machetes, Cochettes. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody. Thanks for tapping in. I'm probably about to cut it pretty short. So sorry for anybody that just jumping in, homegirl, anybody out there, because we just squared off a solid hour, but you guys can check it out. We're just talking about, we like to chop it up. Sometimes I just play music. Sometimes we conversate. So we was talking about aliens. We talked about government, the Fent crisis, all types of stuff. It was a pretty good one. You guys make sure you check it out. YouTube will probably pull it because anytime we talk about government type stuff, we talk about conspiracy, revolution, uniting, anything like that, religion, because we touched on religion also. There's a good chance they may flag it, they may pull it. I'll probably, so there it is. But for everyone who watched it or heard what was talking about, I appreciate you guys for tapping in. Make sure you hit that like, hit that dislike, you know what I mean? Check out some of my other content. I'm going to probably jump back on in a little bit. I'll do another half hour tonight, smoke my little blunt. But thanks for everybody tapping in. That was a live with Smokey the Loco Bear.